Welcome to the XDOG Podcast, where our mission is to help dog owners extend the life of their dogs through nutrition, fitness, and education. I am your host, Stan Smith, CEO of XDOG, and whether you're looking for tips on how to improve your dog's overall health, get valuable training details, or insight on personal growth and business development, then you are in the right place. So march with us as we go heads up against your dog's number one enemy, canine obesity, and let's win this battle together. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the XDOG Podcast. And of course, today we have a special guest from DogFit Dallas, and he goes by the name Art Ortiz.
That's actually what's not on my birth certificate. It's actually Arturo Ortiz, but everyone calls me Art.
Good. I'm glad you pronounced that, because I wasn't going to be able to pronounce that. I've always had a hard time rolling my R's. Today's topic, we're going to talk about how, it seems like nowadays everybody wants to be a leader. They want to be like the one in charge. But the real key to success is to remain a student. And a lot of the people that I've learned from, as far as mentors-wise, it doesn't matter where it's at in life, they're always great students. But Art, why don't you kind of discuss how you got into dogs and what got you into dogs and how long you've been into dogs and dog training?
Yeah, so, I think a lot of people start very differently from the way I did. I actually kind of got forced into it accidentally. And I was working in corporate America, and I was just kind of tired of it, and I wanted to change. And that may sound familiar, but so I decided to go into a whole different career of, I want to become a firefighter at the age of 33 years old.
Hey, this guy right here, yeah, he went to Fire Academy, right?
Yeah, DeSoto. I went to the academy, went to the EMT. I had my whole plan set for that, and then I got into this industry, and it just took off. I mean, there's nothing that kind of compares to being able to do what you love and helping others, but at the same time, like it's easy because everybody and their mom loves their dog. You know what I mean? So when you talk to people, like it's just that connection and that feeling that you get. And when I get with my customers and stuff like that, I just stuck to it and the opportunity that I have, and I'm not going to pass up the opportunity that I have.
For sure,
so
absolutely.
Fire stuff it was there, but I didn't do it.
So what happened with your situation?
So I got in, like I took the test, my first, took a test, and I got in, went all the way through. I mean, it's like a long process.
Yeah. And
I got in my first time, and people were like, wow, that's pretty good. And so I got in the academy with City of Fort Worth. And so as I was there, I hadn't been in school in, I don't know, almost 20 years. Yeah. It was probably like 15 years. So when I was going through EMT, like it was really hard for me to switch over to a mindset where I came from, I had to fix things quickly. Well, when you go through EMT, you have to go through a process, a procedure. Are they breathing? ABC, airway, are they airway clear, breathing, and they have to check their pulse. Yeah. And so like as simple as that sounds now, I had a hard time grasping that because I always want to go straight to fix it.
Yeah.
And so I actually flunked out. I got fired. Really? And so while I was in the academy, so I went from making a lot of money to making no money. Yeah. But I was doing it because I wanted to be happier. I just got married, and so when I got fired, 6 months after that, my wife left. And so I was like going through unemployment. That was a kick in the nuts. You know? Then going through, separation, and which led to divorce. And I was like, man, what am I going to do with my life? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I was living in downtown Dallas, and I had my 3 dogs with me. And, I didn't really want to, I was dealing with a lot, like depression and, the guilt and shame and all these other feelings. And so it was my dogs that actually saved me because they were like, you have to take us out. Yeah. You need to take us out for a walk. And so I would kind of sleep in. I remember because I wasn't really doing anything. So I'd sleep in. So like with the crowds would kind of die down. Then I would go take my dogs for a walk because I didn't want anybody to see me like crying and stuff like that. But, because that's the shame. I didn't want nobody to see me who
In your mind, it was the shame.
Right.
But in reality, it's not shameful to show your emotions.
Right.
I try to tell Sabrina that all the time.
Absolutely.
I knew you
I've
were
learned that
when you said that.
She's like emotionless, but go ahead.
Yeah. So I looking back now, I learned that. And so I was just walking my 3 dogs one day, and this lady stopped me, and she's like, hey, are you a dog walker? And I was like, why? Because I'm Mexican? Do you think I'm like, what's going on?
Like, is that stereotype?
Well,
Mexican
Caesar's
talk?
on TV, he's Mexican. So,
yeah, gotcha.
So I was like, okay, whatever, And so, I don't know who this lady was.
Yeah.
I named her Susan. And she just planted a seed.
Yeah.
She actually said, planted a seed that says, hey, there's a need in this city.
Yeah.
That we need some like dog walkers, right? But I was like, I'm not gonna just be any dog walker. I want to walk a bunch of dogs.
Yeah.
And so that didn't even exist in downtown.
When was this? Like what year?
That was late 2011.
Okay.
Early 2012. And
Okay.
actually I've been doing this for 8 years as of yesterday.
Wow.
So my
Congratulations.
anniversary. Yeah. So, I starting, doing pack walks, and, I kind of pride myself because Instagram was kind of new at this time. And so
Yeah.
I was like, I used it just for my business. I would put all the dogs on there. So I was like, I was the first pack walker on Instagram. I probably wasn't, but
Yeah.
I like to think that I was.
Yeah.
But I just used that as a platform to kind of like just build my business, not knowing where it was going to go. I didn't know it was going to be what it is today, but I just started walking dogs, and by the time you knew it, I was walking 10, 15 dogs at once, all by myself. And it was just me. And, it took care of myself.
Were you self-taught? Did you self-taught?
Yeah, that's people ask me that, like, how did you do it? And, I always go back to like dogs are instinctual. As human beings, we're emotional, we're but we're not very instinctual. We're emotional, we're spiritual, and we're intellect. So we're always thinking, right?
Yeah.
We think and we feel. But dogs are just instinctual. So when I started kind of being with the dogs, it was just, I didn't think, I just did.
Yeah.
Right. So, that's one thing to really, when we honor the dog, like we honor them by their instincts.
Okay.
Because then they don't really think, they just do.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, but as human beings, like we always think, and it makes us feel a certain way. So I just did it.
Yeah.
I did it I didn't care what anybody thought of me.
Yeah.
So that, earlier I said, well, I was afraid because people looked at me a certain way or whatever. But here I was being with the dogs, being just so happy, and it allowed me to heal. It helped me like build confidence in myself. Wow, I can do this stuff. Not everyone is doing this.
Yeah.
So it helped me like with my mental health because it allowed me to heal.
Yeah.
It helped me to keep moving forward, and not look back and just keep going forward.
Yeah, it was kind of like when I was a little kid, man. Like, I grew up in poverty and having like super massive insecurities because of my eye and being multiracial. I grew up in a small town of 2,300 and it's predominantly 99.99% white. And so I had a lot of insecurities growing up, but I always had a dog, and that dog never judged me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it really kind of helped me. They taught me so much in that aspect of life. So when it came to DogFit Dallas, where'd that name come from? How did that derive? And do you remember your first customer?
Actually, I do. So it's a two-part question. First part, how did I come up with the name DogFit? So when I was in this transition of like the unknown, what am I going to do with myself? I had one of my friends who was a CrossFit coach, and I used to work out. I used to do a lot of CrossFit at the time, and he's like, "Hey, dude, I think you would be a really good CrossFit coach. Why don't you, think about getting your certification, and you can come work in my gym?" And I was like, "Okay, that'd be cool," but I wasn't really feeling it.
Yeah.
It's not something that I like. Yeah, I really want to do this, but at the same time, I was like, but it's helping people, and I like doing that.
Yeah.
And so, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna kind of test this little dog thing. And I remember where I was at. I was at Mockingbird Station, and he called me. He goes, "Hey, so have you made a decision? What are you gonna do?" I said, "No, I'm gonna do this dog thing. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna work with this dog and with these dogs. I'm gonna call it DogFit."
Yeah.
I like it.
So that's how I came up with that name. And also, I'm also like really big into I like marketing and stuff like that. And so when I would kind of poke around and look at like other people's names, I just wanted to be different, wanted to stand out. I want to use words like pause or, and nothing against those people who do, but it's, a lot of people, it's the same. So there's nowhere where you go. Have you heard of DogFit?
Yeah. Go ahead. I was going to say, that's something we do here is, we're making exercise and nutrition cool, for dogs. And if I was to get on Google and see DogFit, because I'm a fit person, like I like to get out and get active and exercise. So that name is awesome.
No, it's a great name as far as branding and marketing. And it kind of reminds me, it kind of fits like your story as far as like, you're going through your depression stage, and a lot of it is just getting out and moving, moving in general. A lot of people, I've been in that area, man, where I still deal with a lot of depression that I know as long as I'm when I look back and see where I'm at in a situation where like, man, why am I feeling this way? 9 times out of 10 is just because I just stopped moving.
Yeah.
You know. But
same thing with the dogs too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so as long as you can keep moving. You know, this past Sunday I had a lot of my clients come out to the river. We were supposed to go hiking that one time, and I always tell everyone, just keep moving. If your dog does something that's you're scared of, just keep moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep moving. That's the key, is just to keep moving.
Yeah, I love that motto. I mean, it's you're constantly growing, and you're constantly continuing to push forward. And I mean, I think when you have a dog there, I mean, they make you, like you said, like you got to get out and you got to get active. You got to go do those things, because if you don't, I mean, you feel like a piece of shit. You know what I mean? So, I mean, first off, I just want to say I love, the name.
Cool, I appreciate that.
What you do is awesome, man. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, you were self-taught, right? And pretty much.
In the beginning, yes.
Yeah. I know for me, like I've been at this since 2005, 2006, but it wasn't until like 2016 where I actually kind of found a mentor. Mm-hmm. And that's where everything changed for me, as far as, man, I became a student again, because for the longest time, man, I had an ego and I just thought I knew everything. Mm-hmm. And next thing I know, man, I'm sitting on this couch, I'm drunk, and I'm thumbing through my Instagram feeds, and I see this guy with a scar on his face talking shit. And I was like, who is this guy? And it kind of sat home because I felt like he was talking to me, and I started, researching the guy, and it ended up being Andy Frisella of the MFCEO, and I started listening to his podcast because I was lost. I was like, man, I know there's more in me, but I don't have the answers. And what about you? As far as like you said, you started out kind of self-taught, but then what?
So back in late 2012, early 2013, I'm gonna go back to my first client because she actually ties into the story. Yeah. Her name was Janet, and she was my very first client. Actually, she was one of the first people I told, hey, I'm going to start this dog business. She's like, I'll be your client. She had 2 dogs. She's like, you're going to be, and I just remember that. And she's actually kind of the person who's been, from the very beginning, was a big support for me. Yeah. And so late 2012, early 2013, she goes, hey, I don't know if you've seen this, but there's this workshop that Cesar Millan puts on. And I think you should go. I think you could really benefit from it. I was like, oh, that's cool. I would like to go. Then I saw the price. I'm like, yeah, there's no way I could make that happen. Like I was broke. Like I had no money. Like I was almost homeless, and I was just barely making it, month to month. And, she's like, why don't we have a fundraiser for you? And I said, okay. So we did like a GoFundMe. Yeah. And of course, I didn't really know anybody. But I think we raised like half the money. Wow. And then at this time I had really good credit. This is before I lost everything, but I had really good credit. And so I just took a loan out. Yeah. And for the rest of the money, and I went out there, and then kind of just had a little, retreat out there. I went out to see Cesar at his ranch, his dog psychology center. And then while I was there, his lead trainer, Colleen Steckloff, she's like, hey, like we work really good together. Would you be interested in kind of, coming back to California and I'll mentor you and we'll we'll go to Cesar's ranch and we'll kind of, work out there. And I said, at first I said no. I said, let me get back to you, because I was thinking, well, what am I going to do with the business back home? Yeah. Like who's going to take care of it? I've been gone for a week and now you want me to be gone for 6 weeks? Like that's just not going to, where am I going to, it's a not paid internship. What am I going to do? Yeah. So I actually had some friends that I told that to, and they're like, hey, you have to go. You can't miss out on this opportunity. Yes. We'll take care of everything at the house. You don't have to pay us. We'll take care of everything. You guys just go there. So I loaded up my 3 dogs, slept on a couch in Venice Beach, California. Yeah. I actually took my tent in the event that I had to sleep on on the beach or, sleep with the homeless people. Yeah. Like I was all in. Dude, like I was, whatever it took. Yeah. Yeah. At this point, I have this opportunity. I have to take advantage of it. So I went out there, and I got to work with Cesar at his ranch. I even would pick up poop. I would water his plants, like all these things, just to have the opportunity to go and be around him. Yeah. And to see like him work. And then I got to help like with some of the TV stuff and handle some of the dogs. And then he happened after that workshop. He was going to be in Dallas the next month doing a live show. Yeah. And I got to be part of the live show. And then he was doing like a tour in Texas. So I would go to all the events. So then the opportunity later on that year, late 2013, came up for a position to be like one of his trainers. And so he offered me the position. Wow. And so, and dude, like looking back, like my insecurity was always creeping in because I was like, why does he want me? I've only been working with dogs for 2 years. Like why me? And so, but he saw something, I guess. You know? And so I've been there ever since, and I fly out to California and sometimes Florida to go out and do his training Caesar's Way workshop. We're going in a month, the end of April. I think we're going to be going again. Okay. So yeah, that's how I got started. So Caesar's my mentor, Colleen Steckloff, and I have other mentors. I'll just name Sherry Lucas, who's out in California also, Lynn Bokey. I know I'm forgetting some people, but
well, I mean, yeah, but I love your story. I mean, because I resonate to the story so much, and I'm sure, well, Logan probably doesn't. Maybe she does since she's an immigrant, but it's just one of those extraordinary stories. Now, on the last podcast we talked about, being an influencer. Now, being a student of Caesar, he influences so many different people. Why do you feel that everybody kind of or the majority of dog owners, the everyday dog owner, kind of resonate to him, and why he exploded so much? What do you guys think?
You asking me or everyone?
I'm asking everyone. Serena, I know she has a ton of questions for you, and she's just like over there quiet.
Well, I'll answer that really quick. I think Caesar really dumbs it down, and believe it or not, like he just dumbs it down. People either love you or hate you, right?
Yeah.
And people either love Caesar or they hate Caesar. Caesar is one of those things, is like once in a lifetime kind of person.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that because I've experienced it. I get to be around it. People who know me know my credibility, he's just like this special, like he has a special gift. It's incredible. Like, and he takes the worst of the worst. And so, he just knows, like some of the stuff I can share. There was one time, one of the really cool things, we were doing this workshop, and there was this chocolate lab that this lady had, and this dog was just like being reactive to like all these dogs, just like rah, going crazy. And so Caesar drives up in his car and sees it, and he gets his dog. He has like little Chihuahuas, and he has Junior's pit bull, and he's got like Yorkies, and they're all like jumping out of the car, and the dogs see his little dogs and start like, he's going crazy. And so one of the trainers has the dog, and Caesar goes, "Let the leash go." And the trainer goes, "You want me to let the leash go?" He goes, "Yes, let the leash go." And the dog runs to the puppies, not the puppies, to the little dog, and kind of goes around them and then like sniffs them and gets a little playful and walks away. And we all asked him like, "Hey, why did you do that? What did you see?" He's like, "Oh, that dog just wanted to, had a little motherly instinct, just wanted to kind of make sure the dogs were okay and just wanted to walk off." Wow. Like that comes from experience. How did he know that?
Yeah.
We see it as like a dog being reactive.
Yeah.
And that's just a one story from like other stuff I can tell you about. Like,
yeah. And it's kind of crazy because I try to, what I've learned a lot from some of my mentors as far as like building relationships with some of our customers is sensory acuity. So it seems like Caesar has that with dogs. It's like he can sense their body language and their behaviors and stuff like that.
Well, doesn't he have like a dog psychology thing you were talking about earlier?
Right.
So like he's big into like the behavior and like analysis behind why a dog thinks like they do. And
yes, but also like it's more about how we as human beings are around our dogs, right? So he wants us
kinda
to
like the stress runs through the leash or down the leash.
Right,
kind of
right. So he's like, his thing at his workshop is like, feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
Be calm and confident, and you have to be this before you are, when you're. He always says, be confident, calm, confident, love, and joy in that order. Be calm, be confident, have love, and then you get the joy.
Yeah.
Right. So he the first thing when people see a dog, they're excited, right? Oh my God,
Yes.
And so he's like, you can be excited around a dog. That's totally fine, but don't bring that. That's the first thing you bring in. And it's no different than when you meet someone for the first time. You want to be respectful.
Yeah.
Right. You want to earn their trust, their respect, and then you get the love. When I met my wife, it's not like I just go and like start touching on her right away. Right?
Yeah, right.
So
you don't do it that way.
Yeah.
That's not
at the club, man.
But you have to get trust first.
Yeah.
Right?
Calm and collective.
And the respect is the distance that you keep, right? You don't just come in. So for him, it's just, as human beings, how do we feel around our dog?
Yeah.
Because the dogs don't have a say in the matter of who they get to live with. Yeah, and if I get the choice who I'm going to be around, it's like we were talking about earlier. I like to be around more calm dogs. Working dogs, man, like I respect it, but I can't be around it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's too much for me.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of how I am. Like I love, like I'm an active person. I love getting out and doing all this stuff, but for some reason, you know, working dogs just over time
it's a compatibility thing, right?
Yeah, but
I like the crazy. I don't know.
see, that's what I'm saying. She likes the crazy. I like the crazy too, but I also like the calm and you know, just hang out, chill out and stuff.
They
But
can be calm after they worked out.
That's true.
yeah, that's true.
That's also another thing I think we should talk about, because
Still
like
the best
that,
one.
but that stuff happens when we think about the dog first.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When we give what they need first and what we want second. So if, you know, Sabrina's out working with the dogs, all that other calm comes after the fact when we've given them what they wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I mean, it's just a weird, the whole dog community in general is just so different. It's like crazy, like especially right now with the internet, you know, you have all these different type of trainers and different type of dog sports, and everybody's got an opinion about everything. And as far as like describing you as a trainer, how would you describe yourself as a trainer?
If you were to label it, they kind of call it balance training. Yeah, it's a little bit of, you know, on both ends. It's not just one corner of you know, it's not one, you don't put it in a box. But for me, it's like dog psychology, right? From the perspective of the dog's mind, you know. So because a lot of times, you know, like a working dog, we're actually reinforcing, rewarding that excitement, right? We want that. We want to keep that drive going.
Yes.
And so again, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we're creating. But people, everyday, you know, dog owners, even have a doodle, are also creating that because they're rewarding, reinforcing that drive all the time, right? So for me, like I want to reinforce more of the calm.
Yeah.
So I need the mind and body to be in sync. So if a dog physically gives me, like, let's just say a sit as an example, right? I want the mind to be calm and I want the body to be relaxed.
Gotcha.
Before I can reward that. And this takes time. But going back to the point where, yeah, can those working dogs be calm? Of course they can. So let's kind of work them, and then that just happens naturally. Then we can acknowledge, like, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, it's like, how can I get the mind and body in sync? That's what I want.
Yeah.
And same thing with us too.
Yeah.
You know, we have to have the mind and body in sync. I have to be, my mind has to be calm, you know, free of anxiety, fear, anger, like all these things. Because the thing is, I want to nurture calmness at all times. Because what is the opposite of anxious? Calm. What's the opposite of overexcited? Calm. Yeah. So the opposite of everything that people don't want in their dogs is calmness.
Yeah.
So that's why for me, that's what I'm always trying to nurture at all times.
Gotcha.
I have a question from earlier that's been on my mind. So you said that you started off walking dogs before you were training dogs, right? And then you also said you would like walk a lot at a time, right? So how would you manage walking multiple dogs? Because for me, like I can't walk like 4 of my dogs at the same time because I have to focus on one to reward, to not be reactive to like that said world, right? So how did you like pick specific dogs that you know are going to mesh well together, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and if it's like a dog that needs a little more work, I'll get that dog first to kind of drain his energy before I actually bring him in. So I kind of drain some of the physical energy so that he's not like, oh, I got to be around dogs.
Yeah.
So I will have like the more happy-go-lucky, sensitive dogs. I'll pick those dogs up last. But then that's how we work. We collectively just kind of move together. You see my off-leash videos too, you know? Like,
yeah.
Like,
and it kind of brings up a topic with me because I have 4 dogs, right? I have a Rottweiler, I have an XL Bully, I have a Staffy named Triton, who's a psychopath, and his energy, and I have a Cocker Spaniel, but it doesn't matter. Like, for example, Roxy, she's more of a calm, assertive dog, so I can walk Mega and Bella with her, and we can have a normal walk. But if I walk any 3 of those dogs with Triton, his energy influences them so much where there's like, I've never seen Roxy run like that. You know, I've never seen Megan. They're just running because he doesn't know how to walk. Like, well, he probably knows how to walk. He chooses not to walk. He likes, either I go at a fat, he jogs or he sprints everywhere. He's just got to be everywhere. That's just his energy level. And it's just kind of crazy how like, I guess it can fall in the same aspect as humans. Like, you know, you have to audit your pack and who you're around, and the people that you're around can actually influence your energy levels, correct?
Yeah. So also it's how the dog associates being around certain things. Okay. So as an example, for your vest, sometimes people use it for strength, you know, to speed, you know, to get, have the dog be quicker, faster. I actually use it to slow the dog down.
Yeah.
So if I have a dog that's overexcited and I need just to bring it down a little bit while I'm socializing with other dogs, I'll put the vest on it, right? Just to kind of slow it down. It almost even works like a thunder shirt in a way.
Yeah.
So it kind of like hugs them. It has this weight and they're just like, what is this?
Yeah.
You know, and it kind of throws them off a little bit. But then I start bringing dogs in at that time and it doesn't really know how to like kind of process it. And it's like, how do I associate the dogs?
Yeah.
So now it's like, instead of being, and it's like, you know, so I'm kind of bringing it down. Then I start bringing dogs in at that moment to kind of capture that moment. It's like taking a picture.
Yeah.
So now the dog sees, when I'm around these dogs, this is how mentally I have to be. Right. Then I could slowly start taking the vest off.
Yes.
You know, so that's how I use the vest, or even a dog that's anxious. I did this last night. I should have got it on video. Had a dog that was really anxious, and so I put the vest on, put it on the treadmill, and started kind of walking until it started like to slow down.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the breathing, and so the breathing went from to. You know, so I'm looking at the breathing, and it's at that moment I said, okay, now he's getting to a point where I need to, you know, put him on place. So I put him on place, and I let him fall asleep. So now I'm trying to associate the place as a place of go to rest and relax. Yeah. Mentally, right? But I needed to kind of get some of that anxiety out, and the weighted vest helps bring him down.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how I use it. Yeah. You know, and sometimes I have to get a little creative on how I use it, but that's how I use it to slow the dog down.
Well, I mean, it's multi-purpose.
For sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say partially, just off of everything you just said, a lot of clients and people that I talk to on a daily basis do the same exact thing. You know, they have dogs that are so hyperactive that they gotta have something to slow them down. And then when you pitch that, you know, just how you did and the way you use it, I mean, it's an awesome tool. I mean, you got people that need to build strength and endurance and all that stuff that they do with their dog. But I mean, me personally, I have a Staffy as well, and I mean, she's a shithead, man. Like, she chews everything up. She is just always running. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's like annoying, but at the same time, you love it. But when you throw that vest on them, it burns that hyperactivity off and it calms them down. And that's, I see exactly what you're saying. Like, you can go from here to here, and it's the beauty of it. Like, you can do so many different things.
Humans have the weighted vest. Yeah. It works the same thing. Way.
Yeah, I mean, exercise helps out a lot, man, as far as like, when I'm having mental issues as far as just dealing with depression or not feeling good, it all boils down to I'm not doing what I need to do as far as exercising or just staying moving. But I noticed, these past couple of weeks, I've hired a personal trainer just to take me out of my complete comfort zone and push me past that level.
Make you accountable.
Yeah. And, man, I'm feeling phenomenal this week. And it's like my third week in, but man, my first 2 weeks, I felt like shit. But yeah.
But that's actually a really good point, because like even in the dog world, like if a dog is anxious, they immediately go to medication right away. And a lot of times we don't have to go to medication. You can just do some exercise with the dog, kind of do that. And, a lot of times people like think or assume that, we like force dogs to do things. There's this misconception of what we do. But at the same time, the dogs never had a say in them taking the medication. Wasn't, so who's forcing who? Right. So for me, one of the greatest tools we have is time. Time is a great resource. So the amount of time you spend in any relationship with your dog or your family or whatever it is, time is the best thing you have. Right. So, spend time with your dog to do these things to fulfill that dog, to make it happy. So then we all can be happy.
Yeah.
As far as as when we speak about time too, that's just, it seems in most cases, we're all on the same level playing field as far as that, unless, you have something like a chronic illness or something like that, So, I think time also is one of those things that a lot of us take for granted. I mean, what do you guys feel?
I'll let you guys go first.
I touch on it, man. I think that's the biggest thing people take for granted. Personally, in the past 2 years since I've been here, I mean, I've had 3 of my classmates pass away. 2 of them I played ball with in high school, and one of them, and it puts everything into perspective, And like you touched on earlier, you can only continue to grow and move forward, and do what's best for you, and like you said earlier over here, yourself. And I think time is so important, because if you don't have that, and you're always trying to cram stuff in, or you're always trying to to figure something, or that's when you start getting anxiety. That's when you start, dealing with depression and aggression and all that type of stuff. So I learned to use time to my advantage and just really try to go forward and live in the moment, because if you don't, I mean, it can kill you, like literally. Yeah. So
yeah, I feel like to me, like, time's the most valuable thing, because you can't buy any more of it. You know what I mean? Like when you're at your deathbed, you can't be like, all right, swipe my card and like give me more. Like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So I feel like the closest I found to buying time is hiring someone to do something for you that you don't have the time to do, or like trying to like multitask. But I mean, I know that I tend to do that a lot. I'll try to like multitask things, but then it's like, am I really giving it all my attention? And it's hard for me, because on the one hand, I'm like a perfectionist and I want to do everything 100%.
Because you're German.
Exactly.
Is that a German thing?
It really is. Like, it's really hard for me to like, that's why I like German engineered. Like, it's hard for me to like do a bad job at something.
I mean, I'm ADHD, and I'm always got to do something. So I find myself doing 4 or 5 different things at one time, and I can never truly sit down and learn something, or I can never sit down and put my one focus on one thing. And that's something that I need to work on personally this year and going forward, is, like you said, finding the time to, that's why it's so important, find the time to do different things, that's what I get from it.
So for me, time, like I said earlier, is such a valuable resource. Now, I know a lot of times, we say we get busy, and time management is probably one of the things that I'm not good at. My wife is also German, by the way. She's from Germany. So she's really good about like time management. She's always telling me, you really need to be better at time management. And I'm like, yes, I agree. Because when you're not good at it, you have to be better, because you start to become overwhelmed. And when you become overwhelmed, it's because you weren't very prepared for it. The only reason why people get overwhelmed is because they didn't plan well. Yeah. That's the only reason why. If you plan better, you won't become overwhelmed, because you kind of fit that into your schedule. Yeah. Right. So that's something I'm not good at, but I'm getting better at. Yeah. And so, but spending time with my family, spending time with the dog, spending time with the business, spending time with my employees. We just had a meeting about that today. I really love my employees. I love what they do. I want to make sure that they're happy. But when things get crazy out of hand, that it takes away from different areas, from spending time with them. So I have a good group of people around me that says, hey, we would really like if you could spend more time with employees, if you could show us how to do this, so like at least they're communicating that to me. Communication is very important, so that I can spend time with them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of us, the majority of the people in this world, struggle with time. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves. I mean, there was points where, man, I would wake up at 4:00 in the morning just so I could fit in my day, because I need to like spend that time, and I have my own ritual of waking up in the morning. And I was watching a video of Caesar talking about rituals with your dog and how it can affect things, and it's kind of like. And you talk about communication, when being a dog owner, how to also communicate that to people that come by your house, and how to develop that ritual. Because for the longest time, like, and he wasn't doing it on purpose, but for example, I try to get my dogs calm, and his first ritual when he'd see my dog is, oh my God, and get him all hyped up. And it was working against what I was trying to work, as far as just coming in, being calm, and getting him to calm down. But maybe you can speak a little bit on that, as far as just like developing a ritual and how an owner can communicate with family members or other people, and how to actually communicate with their dogs.
Yeah. So just like, creating rules and boundaries within our dogs, we have to do with other people too. So there has to be this expectation of like, hey, when you come into my house, this is how I expect you to behave. I don't want to say behave, but just how to be, right? So a lot of times for the dogs, it's just their ritual, or how they do their association of the environment. So the mailman comes every single day at the same time. Yeah. Knocks on the door, or rings the doorbell, or just the mail slot opening, and they drop the mail, and the dog runs the door and barks. The mailman leaves, and the dog goes, oh, this is how I do it. This is how I make them go away. Yeah. So every 5 days out of the week, the dog practices that. So it's just normal. It's consistent. Right. So it's consistent that they do that, so they know, this works. Yeah. So then a guest comes over, right? And they start barking, and the person's not leaving. They're like, what's going on? What's the next step I need to do? Right. Sometimes they'll either run away, or they maybe go in and jump on the person. They may bite them, So it's, we haven't guided the dog to, or shown the dog to, how am I supposed to behave when these things happen? Yeah. So you kind of master the first part. So, start with the dog on leash, right? stop the dog from moving, but guide it to something else, like a place or something. But it's important. The key thing is for the dog to understand when the doorbell rings or the door knocks, how do I associate that sound, right? So if they go too excited, we can use a leash to block them physically and mentally. And then once they calm down, you introduce the sound again, okay? And then they calm down, introduce sound again. What you're going to notice that slowly but surely, the reaction will be less and less. So you're basically, think of it like you're taking layers off. So you take the top layer off, then the next layer. So you just take these layers off. So the dog goes, through time and practice and working with it, the dog goes, oh, it's just the door knocking. It's not a big deal, right? Yeah. But let's say they're gonna bark. Some dogs are just always gonna bark. But it's the after that we have to guide them. So if you want them to not jump at people, teach them to go to place. Hey, go over there. Go hang out over there. So you teach that, they master that. Then they kind of put 2 and 2 together. So door knock, I bark. Our owner says, okay, go over there. You go hang out over there. I go to walk towards the door, because it's all situational. The dog sees our patterns. It's just a pattern, right? It's a ritual. It's a pattern that they see. So we take a little piece of the pattern and kind of master each one, and you put it all together. Yeah. That makes sense? Yeah. So, that's how, when people come over, we can, it's just, they kind of feed off that energy, right? Yeah. So I'll still give you the fact that you can go and touch my dog, but just come differently, different energy.
Okay. And it seems like a big thing online right now, especially social media, is like with service dog people, like people just don't have boundaries, or like, you can't come up and pet my dog. It seems like to be like, don't fucking pet my dog thing, movement going on right now. Have you heard about that? Or have you seen
I even have patches that say don't fucking pet. So
and people still do it.
Yeah, like I've had people come up to like my Doberman when I have him at the vet and want to like grab his face, and I'm like, what the hell do you think they're doing? I mean, luckily he like knows better than to react in like a poor way, but it's dangerous, I feel like, sometimes, because you don't know how that dog's gonna react. Or like, just like we said, people have boundaries, and you're saying dogs have boundaries. Like, I just feel like people just assume it's an animal so they can touch it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's how, before I got into, this industry, that's how I was. If I saw a dog on the street, man, I'd be like, oh my God, oh my God. And I'd run over there. Didn't matter what it was. You know what I mean? I just want to pet it and love on it, because I love them, And and now that I've actually learned, there's so much into it. So, I was exactly like that, exactly how you're describing. And you got to, obviously, as a owner, train the dog to react how you want it to react. And then you can allow the,
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, I always like love dogs and want to pet them too, but I guess just, I don't know, it's the way I was raised. I always like ask before I do things, right?
Yep. Yeah. So, because you're German.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what
I try to be super proper about things. Or like, I know like there's an event this weekend that we're sponsoring. It's like a different bite sport than the one that I compete in. But I was talking to one of the people last night, and I'm like super excited about meeting this like male black mal, right? I'm like, I have a female black mal, right? And I'm like, oh, can I pet him when I see him? Like, I already like asked this far in advance, and he's like, well, I guess that's gonna be up to him. I was like, oh,
good answer.
I was like, fair point.
Yeah.
I have a son who just turned a year old last week, and I just want anybody to come in and touch him. He's cute. You don't have to touch my son.
Yeah.
Why is it different
with your eyes?
Yeah.
It's actually in my opinion, it's very disrespectful, because again, like, leave it up to the dog. Every dog is going to be different. Some dogs are going to be okay with you petting them. Yeah. It's, for me, it's more about educating the people on how that dog feels. If that dog, you feel that dog, I actually have a dog that she's very shy around people. Yeah. She won't bite, but what she'll do is she'll move away. She'll give you these eyes, but people continue to move forward. Yeah. And so they're already giving you all the signs that, I don't want to be touched. And then, they come in like, oh, she's so sweet, she's so cute. But you know what? She doesn't want to be touched. Then why do you keep moving forward? Yeah. And if a dog bites you, it's no different than if someone walked up to a woman and started groping her and the woman slapped him. Yeah. They deserve that, right? Yeah. But then in this, because we are, a community of, we have to look out for the humans. If a dog does bite someone, they blame the dog. But it's through ignorance.
In reality, it's because ignorance, like you said.
So, and we just have to educate people on how does that dog feel right now? If the dog is nervous, then don't go pet it. If the dog is overexcited, then probably don't go pet it. Now, again, my wife, she was taught also because she was born in Germany, like don't touch other people's dogs.
Yeah.
You walk around in Germany, and dogs off leash, and there's dogs, they're in the trains, they're everywhere. And because people respect their boundaries.
So speaking of, you said that, we need to better educate people. So what do you think is a good resource for people to learn about, like, maybe animal behavior or body language or?
That's a really good question that I don't have the answer for.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think it kind of starts out with like, with stuff like this, educating people and just starting with a discussion, proper communication,
So I will tell you this, how I learned also, and this is what I do with my employees, because I will go to like a dog park. They have in Dallas, they have like a bar / dog park, which is a horrible idea. But I take my employees there to learn to look at body language. Yeah. Right? Because when you ask, well, what's a good resource? It's hard to read from a book because you're taking a snapshot of a picture of body language that could switch in a second. Yeah. Right? So like it's not black and white.
Like for me, I would never, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of taking my dog to the dog park because I feel like I put so much pressure on them because I have dogs that are pretty alpha, and just to ask them there's just no boundaries, it seems like, with other dogs, with them being out there. I'm just surprised. Is there a lot of fights that happen in those
dog
situations?
parks?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it like a constant thing?
People think that dog fights happen underground. No, they happen at dog parks. Yeah. They think it's happening illegally underground, but it's happening, and this is the thing. Like, so people get into, dogs get into a fight at dog parks. Then the people start to get into a fight with each other. So there's all this energy. And then they separate the dogs at that moment. And then what happens is now these two dogs can't be around dogs because the last time they're around another dog, they were fighting each other. So it's the last memory that they had. They don't live in the past. But what happens is when they come back into this scenario, I see this all the time with my client. My clients, my dog used to be a very social dog. And then it got attacked at a dog. And then it's never been able to be around dogs because now it associates when I'm around dogs, I have to defend myself. Yeah. Right. So that is the imprint that we've created with that dog. Wow. So dog parks, unless everyone is in agreement, this is one of the words that I preach about in my business. When we move forward within my family, like this is how we need to have an agreement, how we're going to move forward. Dog parks, there's no agreement. These people think that the dog should be this way. Other people think the dog should be this way, and so there's never any agreement. So the people who suffer, the ones that suffer, are the dogs. And
then you got alcohol in the mix now.
Oh, then you just kind of
lowered inhibitions, like more liability.
Yeah,
that's just insane to me.
Yeah, my issue with dog parks is one that you've got potentially uneducated owners, right, with dogs that are potentially not vaccinated or not up to date on their heartworm or any kind of thing. So to me, it's like a cesspool of bad.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I have a question, but it's a personal question.
Sure.
How'd you meet your wife?
That's a good story, too. If anybody watching out there, you guys can go to YouTube and search for Art and Zales. Zales did a commercial on us.
Nice.
Really? Yeah.
I'm going to watch that when we're done.
So she was a client, and she was living in Deep Ellum. I was living in downtown, and she hired me to be her dog trainer. I had actually worked with her friend's dog, and so her friend's dog actually bit me. He actually got into a fight, and I was breaking up the fight, and he actually bit me. And so I had to go to the hospital. I had to take him because he got attacked. And so I remember the owner of the dog they were in Mexico, so I couldn't call him, hey, by the way, Baxter got bit. So I called the emergency contact, which was my wife. And so my wife, she goes, hey, can I come over and see him, make sure he's okay? And so she came over, and so I saw her, but I remember I was not in a good state of mind because I'd never been bit before, and I got bit, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. And so in walks this beautiful woman, but I didn't get to appreciate her beauty at that time, And then later on, she ended up adopting a dog, and so she, hired me to be her dog trainer. And so I started working. What kind of dog? It's like this scruffy little terrier, really cute. Her name's Luna. One Ear Luna on Instagram.
Oh, that's what she has one ear?
Well, she has two, but one used to be up and down.
Gotcha.
But after we got married, it's weird. Her both ears go up now.
One ear strider.
And so anyway, she hired me, and one of the things that she wanted to do was, there's a lot of patios in Dallas. She's like, I want to be able to take my dogs to patios. I'm like, all right, we'll make that happen. Because she was a good, happy-go-lucky dog. So I said, I'll go with you. I'll meet you at Truck Yard in Dallas on Lower Greenville. and as part of our last session. And so we went there, and it actually ended up turning into our first date. And so
you're like, now that this is over, now that business is over.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, honestly, it never.
I was like picturing him like knocking me off the table.
Let's go.
Yeah, and so
on the patio with the dogs there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just hit it off. We just kind of a lot in common. She's a.
Who's better at picking dog names?
That's a good question, because I've had my dogs for a long time, and
How many dogs do you guys have?
We have 5.
Wow.
I don't think we've actually had a dog since we've been together. Like, we haven't gotten a dog.
Like, not a new one.
Well, I think you have a lot of clients, so when you deal with a lot of clients, you know.
I would probably say she would be, but I don't know. I like food names like mustard or something like that.
That's cool.
You know?
Yeah.
That's what I like. But I mean, I have a dog name.
Your wife's probably better.
Yeah, probably.
And she probably likes the name Mustard because she's German, right?
Maybe. But yeah, I have 5 dogs: Emma, Hero, Frankie, Luna, Nala.
Nice. Are they? Are they rescues? Or how did you get them?
Yeah, they're all rescues. Emma's my oldest one. She's gonna be 14 this year. She's a little rat terrier. Hero's also a rat terrier that I've kind of. My friend found him in Louisiana and brought him back home. Then I have Frankie, who was found in South Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't supposed to stay with us. He just kind of stayed. But he's like my favorite. He's like my heart and soul.
Foster fail.
He's like my everything. He's like my dude. Like he's my dog, you know. And Luna's Anne's dog, and then Nala's probably also Anne's dog.
Well, now I know when we first initially started this episode, we wanted to talk about how everybody wants to be a leader, but the real key to success, and it's not just talking financially, just success in life, is to remain the student. Now you look at your pack of 5, right? Is there a pecking order, and
Yes.
they've all become students of one another, and
Yes, for sure.
Well, let's talk about that.
So Frankie's like my guy. He's probably like, it's kind of close between Frankie and Luna. They're both very similar, happy-go-luckies. They only play together.
Really?
They're only them two. Emma will kind of get in the mix every once in a while, but it's them two. They kind of like are the leaders within the group. He was the leader of me. Like when I was going, he was the one that would wake me up in the morning to go out and take him for a walk when I wanted to stay in bed all day. He would come and nudge my hand. Hey, take me out. And so that's why I feel like I owe so much to that little dude.
Yeah.
But Frankie and Luna are like, they're very happy-go-lucky. And Hero, Emma, and Nala are what I call my sensitive dogs. They're like, whatever. Like, they're just kind of like, they don't care. Like, they don't want to lead. They're just sensitive dogs, back of the pack. But yeah, like those guys, like Frankie, like I said, he was a confident one. When I wasn't confident, he was the one that says, hey, we got to do this.
Yeah.
So he's like your alpha?
Yeah, he's the one that guided me.
Yeah.
For me to like, people need any word, like, if you talk about leadership, what does that mean? Let's define that. How can we, because leadership or alpha or all these things could mean different things to different people. Though even the word alpha can freak people out, right? So people will say like, oh, my dog's an alpha. I'm like, oh, what does that mean? They're like, they don't know what it means. So I'm like, you're using a word that you don't even know what it means.
Yeah.
Right? So describe it to me. So for me, like I dumbing it down, like who is the dog that is offering the direction?
Yeah.
Right? Who's directing these things?
No.
And so for me, I want to be that guidance for my dogs, right? And so I need guidance in other areas of my life, whether it's personal, financial, all these things. I have mentors as well, right? So it's the person that's directing and protecting, giving those two things. Like, I'm going to take care of you guys, but I'm also going to show you how we're going to be here. So that is what we talk about leadership. Who's the person that guides you?
Gotcha.
Right. Who's the person that has your best interest at heart?
Yeah.
Right. So, best interest for everybody. So for me and my dogs, my relationship is, as a leader, what I give them is I give them guidance. I'm guiding them so that we all can be protected.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's important to define words. What do they mean to you? Because if you don't like that word, use something else. If you don't like the word alpha, use something else.
Yeah. And that all, I guess, boils down to perception and stuff too, right?
Of course. Perception is people's reality.
Yeah. And so, what's that mean to you as far as like, everybody wants to lead, but the key is to be a student. I mean, how do you define it?
I would say that the biggest thing to me is like I said, I mean, there's a reason I have grow on my leg. I tattooed grow on my leg because.
Were you short?
No.
I was like,
no. I
need to try that.
I get a bunch of different.
Fuck, though.
I get a bunch of different shit on this, but there's a true meaning behind it. It's because, I want to be a leader, but at the same time, I always want to be a student. Like I always want to learn. I always want to evolve. You know, I never want to repeat something I've learned in the past. I've always want to continue to grow.
For sure.
And so that's one of the reasons I got it tatted on my leg. But it's like I feel like if you're a leader, people expect so much of you, and that you have so much on your shoulders that you don't get the chance to fall back and actually learn and grow and actually be a student of what you're learning. So
interesting. What about you?
Yeah.
What? Oh. Well, no, I was thinking.
Well, you don't agree, so you said
I don't fully.
You don't agree with that?
You said
not necessarily. I don't.
No, not all of it. Because like you're saying that you're too caught up that you can't with like leading someone that you can't still learn from someone else.
No, I'm saying that being a leader is you want to be a leader.
Right.
Right.
I mean, some people do, some people don't.
Some people do, some people don't. What I'm saying is, if you're constantly trying to lead somebody, I feel like you fall back into and you don't realize that you can learn
from one person or something and still like be teaching other people.
Right. I mean,
and not even just be teaching.
I've learned a lot too, as far as like there's a lot of learning experiences as far as I had to learn how to manage people, because before we brought everybody on board, it was just me and Steven. So I had to learn to trust. I had to learn to manage people. I had to. I mean, I'm still learning, by the way. Yeah, I mess up all the time. Like this morning, I learned how I can't bring my crazy ass energy in here sometimes, because it can affect the overall performance of the people in here. Because again, energy, what you surround yourself with, can affect everything. So if I'm not level headed, I can really affect sales, I guess, in here. Because now they're going to be off. So, and it just seems like a lot of the controversy online now is everybody's a freaking know-it-all. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, do you get any kickback from what you do as far as how you train from other trainers?
Absolutely, of course. I mean, it's out there. This is one thing that I've learned. I read this book. It's called The 4 Agreements. Okay. It's a really good book. And one of the agreements is don't take things personal. And people think that that means don't take negative comments personal. Yes, it does mean that, but it also means don't take the compliments personal either. Don't let it affect you. Don't get an ego from it. Yeah. So if someone compliments you, I've learned to say, thank you very much. I appreciate that, and move on. Yeah. Someone gives you a negative comment. I have a negative Yelp review. One. Yeah. And
I hate that shit, man.
You know what? It's part of the process, right? It comes with the territory. You just keep doing what you're doing. Don't let it affect you. This is the thing. I told one of my employees this the other day. I said, why is it that when we get compliments, it makes us feel good? It builds us up, and we can get 99 compliments. We get one negative compliment, and it just disregards all the 99.
There's a legit formula for that. For like every negative interaction, I mean, it depends on a scale as well, but like every negative interaction you have with a person, you need like 4 good ones to like make up for it, kind of thing, on average.
Yeah, I heard something. I don't know how to explain it, but I know what you're talking about.
But why does it?
It's just
it shouldn't affect you. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's something that I'm still learning. Like I just don't let it affect you, because like it's crazy how one, like just even a passive aggressive like compliment or anything, passive aggressive, not compliment, passive aggressive, like when someone says something, they don't mean it, but we interpret it a certain way, and how it affects us our whole day. Yeah. Why do we do that? And it shouldn't. And who cares? Like we're on a mission. We have to keep moving forward. Like what is the goal? Those are all smoke screens. Let's keep moving forward. Let's keep going. And just don't let that stuff affect you. So don't get me wrong. I love being complimented. Yeah. I love that stuff. I love doing a good job. I love seeing the dogs make progress. But don't let it affect you. You just do it, do your job, and move on. We grew up in the South. Well, I did. I know you're taught to open the door for women, right? So you do that. I used to get mad when people didn't tell me thank you. So am I doing it for them, or am I doing it for me?
Yeah.
I love that.
So you do it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So you continue to do things because it's the right thing to do, not because you expect something in return.
Yeah.
That stuff will come later tenfold, right?
So value.
So that's why, like within my business, I'm doing things because I feel it's the right thing to do for my clients. I feel it's the right thing to do for my employees. And I'm not doing it to get the compliments. I'm not doing it to get likes on Instagram. That stuff is secondary. That stuff just happens on its own. Kind of going back to like how we were working, talking about the dogs, the way you get to calm is when you give that dog what he needs, right? That is how it just happens naturally. There's actually this I sent this to Sabrina. There's this dog trainer in Germany. Her name is Katrin Schultz, and she has like 60 German Shepherds, all working dogs. And when I was out there in Germany back in October, I wanted to go kind of see how she does things. And the nicest lady, she sits about 4'11". She has all these dogs. She can say down, the dogs go down. Deer come out, she'll send them out. And then she calls them back, and they all come back, and I'm just like, oh my God, that's pretty amazing. And like, yeah, it was pretty. And like these dogs are like, rah, rah, they're like full on, like just going. They're excited. They're they full blast. She calls them back. Then I went to her house. They're all chill, just hanging out. That stuff is secondary. We want calm. Let's give them what they need first. All that stuff comes secondary. You don't even have to teach it. It just happens naturally. So, we have to do things because it's the right thing to do, whether it's with our dogs, giving them what they need, opening the door for people, letting people into traffic. So we do it not because we expect something in return.
Yeah, and it seems like that's what a lot of, almost like social media, we're kind of conditioned to do that now. Like, what does people have to say in the comments? Or we're almost getting conditioned to do things to get more likes. So people are getting more extraordinary, or, guys and girls are, getting more provocative. And, it's just one of those things, man. The internet is very, very powerful.
It is
a tool when it comes to.
It affects our emotions.
Do you think it's really going to, as far as kids growing up now, do you think it really affects their, how would you say it, self-esteem?
Yeah, I think so, because that's a social currency, right? So it's a social currency that people use. Like, people go to my profile like, oh, you have whatever amount of followers. If I had one, I would be happy. If I had one person listening to me, I would be happy with that. Yeah. So I think people have these goals like, oh, I have to have this many followers. But once you get to that point, did your life change?
Right.
Probably not.
No.
Right. So we have to look at it. We have to be able to educate our kids. Like, hey, I have a son. And I hope that whatever he decides to do with his life, I don't care if he wants to work with dogs. I just hope that he just does what he does because it's the right thing to do and he loves to do it. Right? Not because he has his I never want to put expectation that he has to take over my business. He has to work with dogs because I grew up like that. My father, I love my father. Like, he's amazing. He's a great father, and so is my mom. But I could never do what they do for a living. And they wanted me to do that. Even not that they wanted me to do that, but even when I was in school, they're like, oh, are you going to do what your father does? And so it puts this expectation on yourself that you have to do what they want to do. Yeah. But, same thing with social media. People build this expectation. I have to have this many followers. I have to have this many likes. Let's not look at it like that. Let's just do it because it's good content. Right? So a true influencer, if you want to be a true influencer, it's to just put out good content, whatever it is, whatever you're feeling at that day, even if it's bad, like, oh, I feel crappy today, put that out there. Yeah.
I think authenticity is is building momentum now, like
I've seen it a lot.
Being as authentic as possible.
Someone talked about on the last podcast about being vulnerable. I think it was you, maybe.
I think it was him.
Yeah. Me?
Yeah, when you were, because I remember that part.
I wasn't on the last podcast.
He was.
Yeah.
You might as well just leave the room now.
No, but someone's talking about being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And Brene Brown is, one of those people that talks about being vulnerable, and that takes courage to be vulnerable. So.
Yeah, it does, man. But then now it's like, seems like everybody's trying to be vulnerable now. And now it's fabricated.
That's the thing. Yeah.
And genuine, like, vulnerability.
Yeah. But when someone's actually being genuine or not. Because I remember when I first opened up to the group about, because I always had to like put this false facade, like, I'm a business owner and I'm this, and that. But man, every day I was going home, putting my head on the pillow going, this isn't who I am. Like, I struggle. I deal with depression. I deal with ups and downs. I deal with stress, and
Same.
And what I realized is a lot of people resonated to that because they were going through the same things. Because a lot of people have dogs, because they don't, I don't know, a lot of people feel like they understand them.
Yeah.
The relationship is real. There's no lies. There's no, it's super authentic. We love each other unconditionally. We're here for each other no matter if I'm going through a shitty time or not. Or if I'm going through a great time, I'm going to be part of it. But I think the relationship, that's why I'm drawn to dogs. But, that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I mean, I prefer dogs over humans. I don't think that's a secret.
Yeah. I mean,
my thing with animals is like, not to like, you're about to say something, sorry. My thing with animals is like, I always look at people's intentions about things, and like dogs, like what you were saying earlier, they're more like instinctual. I feel like dogs don't have malintent. Like they do what they do to like survive or like get their needs met. Like they're not trying to like manipulate anyone or.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because you said like, my dog chews on things, it's something that we're missing in a relationship, whether it's through fulfillment. What are we missing to fulfill this dog that it has to go out and do these things?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, you like to work with, the working dogs. And so they love to use their mouth.
Yeah.
Like let's give them that. Let's do that with them.
Right. Like one of my best friends, she's not into dogs like I am. And she's always like, how come you don't get like mad when my dog's like, I don't know, like one of them tore up the back seat of my Audi recently. One of them chewed up my AirPods, or like they're always like destroying things. I'm always like replacing them or having things fixed or repaired or whatever. But I'm like, at the end of the day, it's my fault. Like obviously like I failed them and they didn't get something that they needed.
For sure.
So that's why they felt the need to do that. And so now I have to like be the one to deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the main reason I love this industry and I do what I like to do is because like we all talk about this whole podcast, when we all struggle with anxiety and aggression, depression.
You're the only
one
one
when you
aggression.
said that. Okay.
Depression, whatever it is, like when we touch base on it, what we go through. And I feel like when you have something, when you have a dog that none of that stuff matters to them,
right?
And then they can just show you that how much they love you, and that at any time of the day, whatever you're going through, that they're there. I mean, I feel like that's the most important thing. Like I said, when you come home and it doesn't matter if you had the best day or the worst day, they're still there and they still have the same fucking energy and love for you. So I feel like that's so important. And
they look past all that. They see who you can be.
Yeah. And they want to be loved, and it doesn't matter if you're like, if somebody's like, if you're not being loved, you know what I mean? Like they just love them. Fuck. I mean, you know what I mean? So
I just love them.
Yeah. I mean, but she does it with working dogs, but my dogs aren't working dogs, and she loves the shit out of them. So it's but man, other than that, where can they find DogFit Dallas? And do you have any last any words that you can give advice to anybody who's a new dog owner, or with both life and just been dog ownership?
Yeah, probably one of the biggest things that, like, if there's anything that you can ignore everything I say, but and going back to instincts, it's honoring the dog's instincts. We have to meet their instinctual needs first before we meet our emotional needs. Okay, because a lot of times we get a dog because we want them to complete us or fulfill us, right? So that's not fair to them, and so it's this understanding of saying, I am not complete, okay, but I'm gonna be better as a human being, okay, but I'm gonna get a dog and I'm gonna fulfill that dog. I'm gonna make that dog happy, okay, and loving them. I always say leading them is loving them, okay, because again, love can have different meanings to different people, and love is to some people it's a noun, it's a feeling, but love should also be a verb on what we do with them, okay? And the actions that we do, it's the actions behind the feeling, right? Yeah. So it's meeting their instinctual needs first before our emotional needs.
Sure.
Okay. So that's one of the things I always like, if I could just share it with people, okay? Now, where to find me? I'm in Dallas. DogFit Dallas is our handle on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok.
Yeah. Are you on TikTok?
Yeah, I'm on TikTok.
What do you feel about TikTok?
It's kind of weird. I'm old. I'm 44, so like when I'm scrolling through TikTok, I feel weird. There's all these kids on there, and
but it's really weird because there are some older people, like super old, that are doing kid-like stuff that are just blowing up on there.
Yeah, I do the Renegade, and I do Out West. And,
really.
That's awesome. I see your son on there too.
Yeah, he's taking off, man.
Yeah,
he's taking off.
But I just do that because it makes me feel young, I guess. Yeah. I actually told one of my employees, I'm like, hey, I want to do these videos like with a bunch of dogs in place and do some like Renegade videos.
Yeah.
Don't steal my ideas, people. Come on.
No, it's an open platform right now as far as real estate wise, and what I've noticed that you can actually utilize it to leverage to help grow your Instagram account. That's
what people are doing. I've noticed,
So, but other than that, man, I want to just say thank you for coming on board. This has probably been one of my favorite podcasts, if not my favorite podcast. Cool. I've learned so much just sitting here down with you, and I can't wait to continue to talk to you after this. But everybody on here, man, I wanted to say thank you, guys. We couldn't do this without your support, and I always, we come in, he's invested his time for free. Logan, Sabrina, they invest their time. I invest my time. Our great camera crew behind there, they invest their time. And, if you could just do us a solid and like and share or, this podcast and this episode, it would be greatly appreciated. And, man, I just want to say thank you all again. And as always, Team XDOG Strong.
Mm-hmm.